Welcome to Planet Rock Gravity Training Podcast. This is episode 3. I am your host, Jamaal Brown, along with Pastor Armando Flores. And Pastor Armando, give the listeners a little insight about yourself.
Okay, been here since 96, serving in children's ministry since 98, volunteered till 2005, came on staff full-time then, started off as the early childhood director, and then through the ranks navigated with ministerial responsibilities and classroom management and kids just helping me earn my stripes. And then I believe one of our pastors a few years ago started his own church. It was a church plant, and I took over his position. And so what, 6, you've been here 7 years?
7 and some change.
Okay, so 7.5 years later, here we are. Yeah.
So I am a protege of Pastor Mondo.
Aww. My baby's growing up.
Worked under him. I learned a lot of what I do from him, so it's just only natural to bring him in on his conversation. And today, a lot of what we do is we do a lot of teaching, we do a lot of training, and we also do a lot of buffering or running interference for teachers and kids who are having issues in class. Kids who are acting out, kids who have issues in class. And so a lot of times when we come in, they're kind of at their last resort or don't know what to do just because of the whatever situation it is. And we come in and it's we don't bat 1,000.
No.
but we come usually, we come in, we have a conversation with the kid, we figure out a few things, and then the kid's good as new, kid's ready to go, kid's ready to learn, kid's ready to behave, and so they ask us like, oh, what did you do? And it's like, well, it's kind of, we wanted to kind of bring a spotlight on kind of what comes natural to us.
Yeah.
And it's connecting with kids. And so this is 3 practical ways to connect with kids in your ministry. And this is perfect for volunteers or ministry leaders, just to get better at what we do. Because this is the Gravity Training Program. Planet Rock is our children's ministry theme. And so gravity is what keeps our feet on the ground and helps us make the moves to be more efficient and get better at what we do.
Yeah.
So 3 practical ways to connect with kids, and the first one we're going to touch on in our policy and procedure handbook. One of our core values is you enter the heart of a child through the door of his, her, or her interest.
Yeah.
So one thing that we do from the gate, I guess, is introduce that kids, we need to connect with them. We need to figure out, get on their level and see what they're into, what they like. That way we can relate and have a discussion, because if we're always thinking way up here as adults, we always have bills or whatever, and we're not, in cartoon land, or whatever, Fidget Spinner or whatever the latest thing is out, then, there's a disconnect. So, entering the heart of a child to the door of his or her interest, we definitely need to figure out, what they're into.
Yeah, I think definitely one of my biggest things is I like to talk about with the kids where we're at. One of the coolest crazes that came by that I thought I had to jump on, just so that I could still be a part of the ministry and relative, was the Fidget Spinner.
Yeah.
And so...
he had a collection.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, chrome plated.
Yeah.
Gold plated.
Yeah. My favorite one was that like iridescent look, where it was like, and it was heavy, it was weighted, you know? And so every now and then kids would be like, hey, this is mine, this is what I got. And I'd say, oh, well, check out what I got, and I'd spin it and bust it out. I learned how to flick it. Like the presentation was like huge.
Yeah.
So I'd bust it out, flick it, spin it, and the kids were like, oh my gosh, like you're the best. So I know that gave me status in their heart. I fit in. I'm not just this adult that's coming to take away the toys. Like I actually got one.
Yeah.
So I was socially acceptable.
Yeah.
That was a cool one. That was a cool craze. I tried to stay in with them because, you never know where that's gonna go. The conversation can go somewhere, or they may want to use mine and start playing with it. And I've noticed that they'll take it and they'll go to their friends and then they'll bring them in. So I'm just using a small little metal shiny thing that draws in more as we, share.
Yeah, and one teaching point that we usually touch on. Well, I learned from Pastor Mondo, as far as like when you're connecting with kids, when you're relating with kids, it's like a bank account. You need to make deposits into a bank before you can make withdrawals. So those deposits are the time that you take before the service even starts, where you guys, there's free time where you can talk and connect. Show off fidget spinners, and all those things are deposits.
Yeah.
So then once the class starts, and it's time to, all right, everybody sit up straight. Where's your Bibles? You know, when you need to make withdrawals, there's a checking balance there. You know. But if you're not making no deposits, you're gonna be overdrawn.
Yeah, you are.
Which a lot of people have experienced.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think that we're like magical.
Yeah.
Or we're the kid whisperer.
We have some kid fairy dust. We just kind of.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of like the good cop, bad cop. Like the teacher that's in the classroom, they're subject to the hour and a half. And so we get the liberty and the pleasure of coming in. I mean, not just to say hi, but to problem solve.
Yeah.
But also we have fresh eyes, and that kind of helps with gaining perspective and even looking at the situation and determining, okay, where do we got to go?
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you bringing that up, because when I first started here, I remember being in a twos class, and here we go. Somebody hands me a crying kid, or there's the leg huggers, and I'm trying to be the leg. Like, I even put my leg out there, like, grab my leg. It's just as good as your mom's. And so I learned early on that I had to get into their heart. And so, man, I mean, even like if you were to come into my life and just give me like compliments, and you give me like praise and tell me how good I am and how wonderful I look, or if you just deposited that into my heart for 30 minutes straight, Jamaal, I would follow you wherever you go, bro. I'd be your best friend. I'd probably be your fanboy.
Yeah.
And I think we do that with the kids. And so when we need to get their attention, or we need to, immediately cause them to restrain themselves or to discipline their behavior, a word does it all, because our words built that solid foundation.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That is good. And like Pastor Mono touched on, like, for 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds, the separation anxiety.
Yeah, it's huge.
Those are good ways to connect with kids too, because, it's not just, oh, this kid is crying. It's no, this kid's crying for a reason. Like, let's see, and so I usually do 3 points. I think I learned this from you too,
right.
Take them to the window,
yes,
show them, the birds or the playground, or, get their attention off mommy, show them airplanes, or I sit down and color with them, or draw something. Yeah. And I think I'm terrible at drawing, but I learned how to do like 3 like animals.
Yeah,
like,
simple.
All I know is I know how to draw fish, penguins, and like a shark. And those 3 all the time.
Number 1.
or read it with them, and usually if those 3 things don't work, and through a transition, if we're going outside to the playground, or we're getting ready for snack, and those 3 things aren't working along with the transition, then it's time. Like like I said, we're not batting 1,000.
No.
So it's time to try something else. Get mom involved. Get somebody else involved in that situation.
Well, with you starting it so young, I know that us working together, being seamless, one day I could potentially inherit your kids. So you're setting a foundation of a relationship with an adult in this environment. Mm-hmm. So like when you're with the older kids, it's the same vibe, it's the same feel. I mean, instead of busting out the crayons, we have Uno, or we're playing checkers,
or Jenga.
I just got this giant Jenga I'm like super pumped about, So like, but anything we can do to get into their world, it's right. We're entering into their heart. Yeah. We're getting into their world, and we're really trying to establish a relationship that lasts a lifetime, and encouragement, that just seals the deal.
Yeah.
You're right, Jamaal, 100%.
So moving on to the next point, it's 3 practical ways to connect with kids in your ministry. The first is enter the heart of a child to the door of his or her interest. And the next one is kind of figure out what they need, because we, it's problem solving 101 is figure out the problem. If a kid is crying, there's a reason the kid's crying. If it's either they have separation anxiety, they're hungry, or they're tired. Or some mixture. They just got in trouble from before coming to church, or even in the parking lot.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I've seen the kids coming in like, oh my gosh, I don't want to look up. They look back at their mom and they're like, your mom's like, you gotta go. I've seen that.
Yeah. So don't just write a kid off and, oh, this kid's bad just to be bad, or this kid don't know how to listen. Take the time to figure out what the problem is. And a lot of times kids just need a hug.
Yes, so important.
Our society is so busy where it's performance is go and do this, go and do that, go and do this, and poor kids who's like, I just want to just slow down, give me a hug,
Yeah, it's important.
Pick up kids from school is how was your homework? What did you do to the teacher? Oh, and it's just like, hey, like how are you? I love you. Give me a hug. And I'm not saying that no parents do that ever. It's just some kids need it more than others.
Yeah, and you're right, Jamaal. Like, there's been a lot of times where there's kids that I've grown up with here at church, and there's kids that I just get to know for the first time and build relationship. And it's really important to say, I care about you, and I know you've had a hard day, and I know that things have gotten out of hand today, but this is a peaceful place. But I know before I can even get there and validate their feelings, you're right. Like sitting there, paying attention, listening, making eye contact. I know sometimes my facial features, they say like, they're stern or they're real like focused, so I try to make my face look kind. I try to make myself look like I really like you.
Yeah.
So I'm smiling or I'm showing sincerity. And then through that, also telling the kid like, hey, you can tell me some things and you're not going to get in trouble. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to take your pearl and then just go to your mom right away and say, oh my gosh, believe what they did.
Yeah.
And I know in doing that, there's a trust factor that goes into play, because that's not going to be the only time we're going to have that problem.
Yeah.
We're going to have many more of those, and I think a successful exchange of words and dialogue will just let them know in the future, I'm somebody they can talk to.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That is real cool. Definitely, spending the time with the child and seeing what's going on. Even in your classrooms, as you're teaching on stage and you see, some kids can't handle sitting next to their friends in class, And so seeing that, recognize it right away, like, okay, this kid cannot be sitting next to his best friend or his cousin because, and so separating them, kind of gives them both what they need. They're paying attention, they're not distracted, they don't have that urge to punch them or
tickle, hit, fight.
Yeah, get under the chair.
Yeah. Oh my God. So many.
We see it all.
Oh my God.
We see it all. So, definitely take the time to see what they need.
Yeah.
And the last point we wanted to touch on as far as, 3 ways to connect with kids is the classroom environment, and this kind of relates to point number 2, but kind of seeing the overall class environment. If usually we have a Wednesday night service, and so our Wednesday nights I know is our toughest service because kids been at school all day, babysitters all day. Some come, they don't get a chance to eat dinner, so it's just a rowdy bunch. So I already know, okay, I'm gonna give a little bit more leeway. I'm not expecting everybody to sit down quietly for the 5 or 10 minutes, part of the service. So I give a little bit more leeway, give a little bit more playtime, just to compensate for that.
Yeah, and Pastor Mike, I remember when I came on, he would tell me too, like, I need to learn how to read the kids. Like when I'm looking at my classroom and I'm trying to present a topic or an idea, or we're doing the next thing on the schedule. If my kids are not with it, then I need to be very flexible to where I can shift to the next idea.
Yeah. Honoring attention spans.
Yes. And even if, like, let's say I was like, I'm in the 5s class and I'm due for 5 solid minutes, but 1 minute into it, they're like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like, I hate you. Like, why am I here? I want to go home. So immediately, if I'm not transitioning them to the next exciting thing or creative thing or fun thing, then I'm quickly gonna bypass that and move to something else. And I know prepping, like taking the time to look at what your hour and a half or 2 hours would look like, and then having like not just planned out to the minute, but maybe an extra 30 minutes, like beyond the normal class time. That way you can pull out your bag of tricks. And we should all have a bag of tricks. You know?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I run into I collect things in my bag of tricks.
That's awesome.
Every chance I get.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we were in the threes class and I forgot the guy's name, but I was service coordinator. I was helping out the service, and it was transition from playground time to inside time, and that's always crazy.
Yes.
And so we're going in, and the guy just busts out, "All right, guys, let's do the itsy bitsy spider." I'm like,
what?
I'm like, let's see how this goes, So he does the itsy bitsy spider, and he's okay. Who's ready for the baby spider? And I'm like,
the baby spider.
Baby spider. And he just starts doing like this squeaky sound, and all
cool.
the kids like started busting up, and he just had their attention. I'm like,
nice.
Oh, that's going in my bag of tricks.
Nice. Yes.
So I have the
job.
I have the itsy bitsy spider in my bag of tricks.
Oh, that's awesome.
So definitely figuring out the class vibe and giving yourself enough time is important.
That's good. That's
the prep time, and we touch on this all the time, but it's really important is honoring attention spans.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I think sometimes God will grace me a couple more minutes. And I've learned that when I take advantage of that, that's when I start to have the little things popping up here and there where like I'm losing them and then they're getting distracted. And then if I'm not on my game, my natural instinct is to get frustrated because you're not listening to me. But I think if I can just move with them and just try to drop that seed and then realize in my next segment there's another seed to build onto that one, I'm never losing them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I usually tell people, because around my age, I guess average is about 5, so it's like, hey, you guys got about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes if you're really, really good, but 5 minutes.
If. And nobody said you could.
No. If you're really, really good, you got 10 minutes, but usually 5 minutes, and then it's on to the next, So
That's
like,
cool.
I like what Pastor Mondo was saying, kind of stretch out, your service order where you have a few extra things, few extra points that you can touch on related to the lesson, if it's a review game or memory verse or Q&A, something that connects with them, connects with your lesson, and you can just have as a backup.
Yeah, I love that.
Cool. Well, this has been 3 practical ways to connect with your kids in your ministries. The first one is you enter the heart through the door of his or her interest. That's one of our core values here at Planet Rock Children's Ministry of the Rock Church and our Road Outreach Center here in San Bernardino.
That's how we roll.
It's a mouthful.
It is.
The second one is kind of figure out what they need. If you can figure out, if you can look at the situation, problem solving 101 is figure out the problem. If you can see that, if it's visual, if you can get it quick, or ask a few questions to kind of see what the kid needs to help them move on and transition into learning mode, or just get over some hurt or that whooping they got in the parking lot.
Yes. One of those. Oh my gosh, so much.
Yeah. So kind of figure out what they need, and then the last one is just kind of just scan your classroom environment, see how your classroom environment is. Is your team honoring attention spans? Maybe you're the team leader and your helper is leading a subject, and they're losing them, but they don't know that they lost them. And they're still trying to teach. And it's like, hey,
the ship is sailing.
We gotta wrap up. We gotta move this on. And so work with your team on those transitions and just kind of helping the class flow. So yes, this has been 3 practical ways to connect with your kids in ministry. I am Reverend Jamaal Brown. This is Pastor Armando Flores.
Yes.
And thank you guys for watching Planet Rock Gravity podcast, or listening. If you're listening, thank you for tuning in. We're filming right now, so if you're watching, thank you guys. You have any goodbyes?
No. This is really cool, Jay. Like, I appreciate you, and man, hands down, you're amazing, bro. Like you said earlier, you're my protege, but by far you've taken it to the next level. So I think that's a sign of a true leader, is you take what you've learned, you absorb it in your heart, you've made all the things that were established in our hearts, and you put it out there in a practical level, and people follow. So good job, bro. And even for you guys out there as leaders and volunteers and ministry heads, this is definitely practical stuff. Like, you can take it tomorrow, right now, or if you're on your way to church and you're listening to this or watching this, like, you can definitely put these things in play. And above all, relationship is bigger than anything.
Yes.
They may have a device, they may have a toy, but that one-on-one eye contact, affirmation, being told you're awesome, that right there is number one thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, like we said, this is Planet Rock Ministry,
Yeah.
the Rock Church Memorial Outreach Center, and this has been Gravity Podcast.
Number three.
Trace. We're coming at you with more, so stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Have a blessed day.
God bless you.